Thanks for joining us for this look at the best original reporting from KPBS News. This week, I'm Maya Trabulsi. Coming up, demanding safety at local schools. Students walk out to call for action on gun violence. And this past week marked 100 days since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Meet a local Russian dentist doing what she can to help make life a bit easier for war refugees. And later, remodeling the Salk. See how the iconic La Jolla Research Campus came to be and how it will change in the years ahead. Let's start with the voice of the voters and the push toward the November election. One of the most high-profile races is taking shape. Our election coverage includes KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer on what's next for those hoping to be San Diego's next sheriff.
Kelly Martinez topped a 7-candidate field in Tuesday's June primary election to secure a spot on the November runoff. Whoever wins then will succeed longtime Sheriff Bill Gore, who retired in February. Gore endorsed Martinez, so did County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher and San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria, among others.
I'm really encouraged that the voters have trusted me at this point with the votes and putting me forward through to the general. I think that the public and the voters really expect a sheriff who is transparent and accountable and focused on public safety, and I am that candidate.
John Hemmerling has a slight lead over Dave Myers for second place, which would earn him a spot in the runoff with Martinez. In an emailed statement, he told KPBS the outcome of the election was gratifying and said, "We need fresh, new leadership for a real change in how we safeguard our neighborhoods, run our jails, protect victims of crime, and keep the public informed. I look forward to the general election and the opportunity to engage Kelly Martinez in a serious and detailed debate about public safety in San Diego County." Hemmerling is endorsed by the state and county's Republican Party and by former San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulkner, former City Attorney Jan Goldsmith, and retired San Diego Police Chief Shelley Zimmerman. He'd also been endorsed by the San Diego Union Tribune, but the paper withdrew that endorsement after learning Hemmerling had made comments that were viewed as anti-transgender. He retired from the city attorney's office right after that, but says that retirement had been long planned. The election comes as the sheriff's department battles with staffing issues and continued scrutiny over inmate deaths at its jail facilities. Martinez says she has the right background and knowledge to tackle those issues.
I am the most qualified candidate. I have the most experience in this job. I've been with the Sheriff's Department for 37 years. I've worked at every rank, at every level. I've worked my way up to undersheriff, and as the undersheriff, I run the day-to-day operations of the department.
Assistant Sheriff Anthony Ray has served as the interim sheriff since March and will stay on that post until January, when a new sheriff will be sworn in. The San Diego Registrar of Voters will continue posting updates for all their races on their website over the coming days. Election results have to be certified on July 7th. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Another race to watch is in the South Bay, where a longtime city council member is advancing to the general election against a former congressional candidate. Gustavo Solis updates us on the campaign for Chula Vista mayor.
John McCann is the lone Republican in a 6-candidate primary race to be Chula Vista's next mayor. And even though the city is home to more Democrats than Republicans, McCann says that his comfortable lead in the primary shows that party preference is just not what voters care about in Chula Vista.
Potholes don't have a party affiliation, as well as I believe that people are tired of the hyper-partisanship, and they just want people to be at the city that will do their job.
McCann says that voters have responded well to his experience at City Hall, and that will be the difference in November. Amar Campanajjar begs to differ. The former candidate for San Diego's 50th congressional district says that voters are ready for new political leadership in the South Bay.
The voters said they want something new, fresh, different. They want new leadership. They're tired of the same recycled career politicians.
Currently, Campanajjar is nearly 10 points behind McCann in the primary, and just ahead of third-place finisher Jill Galvez. Top issues in the race include the city's multi-billion-dollar Bayfront development project, efforts to bring a 4-year university to the South Bay, and managing projected budget deficits. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
Those two races are part of our election coverage. Get caught up on primary results and find all of our content, including the KPBS Midday Edition and San Diego News Now podcasts. That's all at kpbs.org. Most of them are too young to vote, but that's not stopping them from taking political action. San Diego students are renewing calls and protests aimed at action on gun violence, especially in schools. KPBS education reporter MG Perez visited one of the walkouts in San Carlos.
We watched this student walkout and rally from a distance this afternoon. Unlike past protests here at Patrick Henry High School, administrators did not welcome the attention.
You can't be on campus right here.
Students walked out during their lunch hour in support of gun control reform and demanding their school be a safe place after they say they experienced a threat of their own.
When we heard yesterday that there was a potential threat of a school shooting during our rally, it wasn't impossible. It wasn't something that is far-fetched. It was way too real.
These students joined thousands of others around the country who walked out at the same time today. The massacre in Uvalde, Texas, and the continued body count of young victims in school shootings is too much for them.
A student might come and cause violence at my school, whether that be not only a student, anybody. Anybody can have access to guns who's 18 a rifle. That's insane.
The conversation about gun violence is clearly an emotional one and not simple. Gun owners have their own impressions of what should happen following yet another school shooting.
It's not the gun, all right? It's the societal failure.
Matt Clear is a decorated military man, having served with the U.S. Navy Seabees, participated in military SWAT teams, and trained Navy SEALs in combat. Since he retired in 2013, he's operated the Active Shooter Defense School in San Diego County. His students include law enforcement officers and parents with their own teenage children.
We teach people how to fight and how to shoot. Okay. We teach you how to do it so well that you can think about the other things in the situation. If you know how to do something to a point where you don't have to think to do it, you can think about everything else that's going on in the room at the moment.
Clear is so committed to the Second Amendment and gun use education, he is making an offer to any San Diego educator willing to take him up on it.
School teachers train for free. I'm not going to provide ammo or anything. You bring your guns, you bring your ammo, we will teach you how to use them.
Students at Patrick Henry High School are committed to their beliefs and their movement too.
It needs people who are willing to take the moment to speak out. It takes a ripple to start a wave.
This wave has come ashore. MG Perez, KPBS News.
We're now past 100 days of war in Ukraine with no end in sight to Russia's invasions. Refugees who made it all the way to San Diego face an uncertain future, but they are getting help. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman met a Russian dentist who is volunteering her time and her talent.
All right. Откройте, пожалуйста, Леночка.
This dental procedure is months in the making, delayed by war in Ukraine.
We are in a very serious and heartbreaking situation. We have nothing other than our travel suitcases, and we are completely dependent on the volunteers helping us.
Olena Vorobyova is from Ukraine's capital city, Kyiv. She was on vacation in Mexico with her husband and teenage son when Russia invaded. The family sought haven in the U.S. by crossing the border in San Isidro, but there's still no escaping the horrors of war.
People don't understand what we're going through. Several times a day, I'm getting text messages from friends and family with deaths of loved ones.
Once in San Diego, Vorobyova and her family moved into a host home with La Jolla resident Jane Wehrmeister.
I had seen everything that was going on, and down at the border, how people were able to come across under humanitarian parole. However, I realized, well, where do they go once they cross the border?
Wehrmeister has been helping the family adjust to life here. With a little Google Translate, she learned that Olena was in the middle of a dental procedure before Russia invaded. Unable to return to Ukraine and finish the work, she reached out to the San Diego County Dental Society. They found dentist Ilona Gable with Inspire Smiles.
Maybe I can't stop the war, but I can make it better for the people who are here. So that was like an immediate yes. I responded right away to email. I called them several times to make sure that you put me on, make sure you send them here.
Gable is Russian.
Me having this unique skill, of speaking Russian, being there for them, right? Being able to communicate and also do what I can. Large part of what we do is to give back. So any opportunity I have to give back, especially considering, again, people are here because of the war, like not by choice, right?
Some of Gable's family is still in Russia. Doing dental work on Vorobyova is not without risk.
I'm taking a step of courage. I am almost certain it's going to negatively impact perhaps my family, but I'm just stepping in courage because, again, the principle of what's right is more important.
Vorobyova is having 4 crowns replaced, typically at a cost of around $18,000, but Gable is not charging her. And this isn't the first time she's stepped in to help. Gable's nonprofit Inspire Changes provides pro bono dental restorations for trafficking victims. She measures success on how much she can give and encourages others to do the same.
Be generous, not just even giving, but step beyond that and be extra generous with time, anything that you can contribute to making another life better, I feel is the best way to be in the world, and that's how we can make the world a better place, be the change.
Vorobyova is thankful for the help, but the disruption of war lingers in different ways. She says in Ukraine, her teenage son is an international karate competitor.
As a mom, I feel completely helpless as I cannot do anything for my child. He is extremely depressed and barely communicates. He locks himself in a room, puts headphones on, and does not even speak to me.
Vorobyova wants to be independent, and she's seeking work permits.
We want people to understand that we have no say in the situation. We are prisoners of our circumstances. We just want to go home.
Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
And here are some of the most read stories this week at kpbs.org. San Diego State University comments for the first time about a sexual assault case involving student athletes that happened months ago. Local families sue over a hepatitis outbreak linked to strawberries. And another milestone in the COVID-19 pandemic as local confirmed cases pass 800,000. It's going to be an expensive summer for drivers as gas prices keep rising. We're well into record territory in San Diego, now approaching $6.50 per gallon. Alexander and Nguyen caught up with those whose paychecks depend on working behind the wheel.
It's definitely gotten more expensive.
Phoenix resident Kim Mowbray is a regular traveler. She's in town for work. Mowbray's noticed her usual Uber trip from the airport to Coronado has doubled. It used to cost around $20. Now it's $40.
Yeah, I think Uber has definitely become more expensive over the last couple of years. I don't know if it's gas prices or bait and switch.
But it's not just customers feeling the pinch. Rideshare drivers say gas prices are affecting them too. Some are quitting altogether. Mowbray's Uber driver, Lavina, says there are fewer rideshare drivers now. She's still working because passengers still rely on the service, but it comes at a cost.
I have to work more per tank, and it's not adding up as well as it used to.
She says she has to work 10-hour days just to make as much as she used to. Both Lyft and Uber say they have added a surcharge to help drivers with gas costs. Lavina says the surcharge is only 50 cents per trip, not per mile, so it doesn't help that much.
The high cost of gas prices is making it hard for some drivers to make ends meet. And in San Diego, prices have risen 10 days straight, and AAA says it's not stopping anytime soon.
AAA's Ann Jane Venegas says the price of crude oil increased nearly 70% since December. Crude oil prices account for 60% of the cost of gasoline.
So due to continued concerns about world gasoline supply and also this high demand that we do believe is going to continue through the summer, we do think that this situation, this increase in gas prices will continue, or at least stay around this level until the summer.
Meanwhile, some drivers have switched to electric or hybrid cars to combat rising gas prices, like William Rowe. He used to pay $120 a day for gas. Now, he only pays $30 to charge his Tesla.
It's actually giving me a lot of opportunities for better. I get more opportunities now.
He recommends drivers in San Diego switch to electric or hybrid cars if they can. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
It's not just high prices that have people upset with the fossil fuel industry. Climate change is only getting worse. And as Eric Anderson reports, activists say this is no time to back off their message.
The front doors of Sempra Energy's downtown headquarters were blocked for about 2 hours by San Diego residents worried about the planet's future.
The climate emergency is really bad. Everyone should be absolutely terrified of it, terrified and really angry.
San Diego 350's Masada Dizenhouse leaned against a huge sign blocking the entrance, saying she can no longer turn her back on climate change.
Because Sempra's business plan is to increase its profits by destroying our future and our health, and I will not take it anymore.
Sempra is the parent company for San Diego Gas and Electric and Southern California Gas. Those two Sempra-owned utilities provide electricity and natural gas to most of the region. Danielle Wilkerson says Sempra needs to do better.
Methane is not renewable, it is not a clean energy source, and we need to stop lying to the public and saying that it is. We need to make a rapid and just transition to renewable energy sources.
Sempra officials shared an email statement. They said, quote, "We are focusing on delivering a more sustainable future by decarbonizing energy networks and advancing resiliency and affordability." Protesters say they'll continue to pressure Sempra to make climate-friendly changes.
So what are we gonna do?
Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
The economy is part of the reason a local artistic institution is shutting down soon. The news comes as a surprise to the loyal audience of the San Diego Repertory Theater. Arts reporter Beth Accomando explains the challenging situation.
Sam Woodhouse was planning to retire from the San Diego Rep this September, but the theater he co-founded has been hit by a serious financial crisis that made it impossible for the organization to continue.
We have been challenged to produce and present programming in the basement of an active construction zone for over a year. That's going to continue for some indeterminate amount of time, at least until 2023, likely 2024. We have suffered a significant loss of ticket sales due to the pandemic and perhaps our geographical situation. And we have been operating simply at an expense level above what we have proven we're able to generate in revenue. In some ways, the simplest way to look at it is we have spent more money than we brought in.
But Woodhouse wants to make clear that the Rep is not disappearing. It is going on hiatus.
We have already formed a brain trust, if you will, a group to think about how we might be reborn and rise again as a more fiscally stable and stable organization that does the art that we remain committed to.
Moving forward, the Rep will depend on volunteers, including a volunteer board of trustees and staff such as Woodhouse who are staying on without a salary. The Rep will maintain its lease on the Lyceum Theater, where it might still do some kind of programming, as it contemplates what the next step in its evolution might be. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
A lot of big events are back to full capacity this summer, including the San Diego County Fair. KPBS visited the Del Mar Fairgrounds for opening day Wednesday. This year's theme is Heroes Reunite. It's a nod to the planned theme for the 2020 fair, which was canceled due to the pandemic. This year's fair runs through July 4th. Tickets and parking must be purchased in advance and online. Pride is also back this summer, and there are more celebrations happening beyond Balboa Park. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne tells us about a free event happening this weekend.
It's a busy week at the North County LGBTQ Resource Center in Oceanside. Staff is prepping for their Pride by the Beach event this Saturday. Lisa Nava is the events director.
Our Pride by the Beach used to be on Coming Out Day in October, so this is actually our first in-person celebration in the month of June.
While the last-minute details come together for the family-friendly event, staff says the Resource Center is always busy. Alan Acevedo, the center's director of operations, says they work year-round to serve, advocate, and empower the LGBTQ community and beyond.
We recognized early on here in North County that we needed more representation to bring our community together, and we also needed a place where people could stop by and share and hold space for one another and have that be an easy, low-barrier way for people to come in, understand what we do here at the center, and then be connected to the services that we offer.
Although the center is based in Oceanside, They serve all of the surrounding North County cities and offer services to everyone, not just the LGBTQ community.
To people who need help and services navigating housing, mental health services. We also have a food distribution program here that's open to everybody, and we offer STI navigation and HIV testing here on site, also free.
Acevedo says the center's real impact comes from being a safe space open to all.
So we know in just having this space here and letting people be able to come in here to use a computer, to have a place to check out a book from our free library, or even just hang out and get to know other people, it creates a safe space where people can then begin to unpack maybe some trauma or some negative experiences that they've dealt with, and then connect with us about what their actual needs are.
Acevedo says the center is bursting at the seams with all of the services and support they have, that they are looking for a bigger space. And Nava says that's what this weekend's event is all about.
Fighting for resources, fighting to be recognized, fighting against police brutality, and that is at the heart of every Pride celebration.
Pride by the Beach is this Saturday from noon to 6 p.m. near Oceanside Civic Center. The event is family-friendly and alcohol-free. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
And further down the coast, an architectural marvel is due for an upgrade. The Salk Institute has been a place that's inspired the work of scientists for 60 years. As KPBS SciTech reporter Thomas Fudge reports, plans are in the works to modernize.
In the late 1950s, Jonas Salk, famous for creating a polio vaccine, wanted to create a research institute. A site in San Diego was chosen. An architect named Louis Kahn was chosen. And it was clear that Salk envisioned a building that would be itself a work of art.
One of the mandates that he gave to Kahn was he wanted a place that would be worthy of a visit by Pablo Picasso.
Greg Lemke is a professor of neurobiology at Salk Institute, who's also an avid follower of architecture trends. And what better place for him to work than a building whose lines and geometry and embrace of the Pacific Ocean have made it an architectural icon and a National Historic Landmark. But the things visitors don't see are what make it a great building for science. For instance, the skeleton of trusses that bear the building's weight.
There's a series of trusses that span from these towers here to the exterior stairwells. And what that means as a practical matter is none of the interior walls of these laboratory spaces support any weight.
And that means interior walls can be made out of drywall that can be broken down to reconfigure spaces, or from glass to let in natural light and create an open atmosphere. Salk and his architect wanted to create a collaborative space where scientists would encounter each other and observe each other's work. Lemke shows us a corridor of connected labs.
And so when you walk down this corridor, you're walking from one lab to the next lab to the next lab. There are no walls between them, there are no barriers. This was a unique design feature at the time. It's been emulated and duplicated in science labs all over the world.
The beauty of the building is that it is now about 60 years old, and it has continued to keep pace with our changing science.
Srikant Chalasani is a neurology professor at Salk who has seen the building change to meet his research needs. One time, he needed a new room to accommodate experiments his lab would do with mice. He says he talked to the Institute's facilities guys, and they configured a new room. Getting the new room took about 2 weeks.
All they had to do was stick some metal poles from the ceiling to the floor, and then stick pieces of drywall in. That was it.
Of course, in the early 60s, Salk architects couldn't predict the future, and they couldn't prepare for every technological change. One of them, says Chalasani, is the use of wireless technology. The poured reinforced concrete the Salk buildings are made of is great when it comes to blocking cell and Wi-Fi signals. The Institute has had to install more than 1,000 Wi-Fi access points like this one to address the problem. And then there are the teak shutters and panels that Louis Kahn made a key aspect of the building. The local environment, which includes very acidic eucalyptus trees, caused tremendous degradation.
A lot of the spores that come off of the sap that gets suspended in the air deposits out on the wood, which then joined with the moisture of the ocean air and what have you, creates dry rot and surface degradation.
Tim Ball, the facilities manager at Salk, said it cost just under $10 million to restore the teak panels. The process was all the more difficult because Salk had to meet strict historic preservation rules as a National Historic Landmark. The teak panels and shutters frame the personal study of Greg Lemke as he opens a window with a view to the Pacific Ocean. He says building a place like the original Salk buildings would be prohibitively expensive today, especially the creation of interstitial floors. Those are short floors between each main floor that provide valuable storage space and contain the guts of the building, such as the electricity and the gas lines. There is a new building plan for the Salk campus. Ball says it will be built in the same style, lined up with the original plaza and its symbolic stream called the Channel of Life.
It'll have an open slot roof that will allow us to take the view from the sky to the sea, being transformed from a channel of life from a light and air standpoint to the water feature in the main courtyard, which is the channel of life that leads to the Sea of Discovery.
The Salk Institute is fundraising for the new building now. They hope to break ground on it by the end of the year. Thomas Fudge, KPBS News.
A reminder that you can watch these stories and all of our content on the KPBS YouTube page. We also live stream KPBS Evening Edition. That's weeknights at 5. We hope that you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Thanks for joining us.